Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope everyone slept well. Didn't drink too much beer. I know I slept perfectly. The night before was really hard for me to sleep. For some of you who heard, I did not sleep on the plane. Last night I got in my room and I think I went comatose for like 8 hours. So now I'm very energetic. I'm ready to go for a run after this. But thank you. Now we got to sit still for 3 hours. So for those of you who have met me, my name is John Morris. I am the board chair of the IWSA. I have been a board member since 2016, but as of January, I now serve in that role. I am from Philadelphia, PA. This is my family, Beth, Miranda, who has WAGR. She'll be 10 in about 2 weeks. And then Juliet, who is kind of the glue who keeps us all together. I'm so excited to be here. Some of you I have met in person. Some of you I've interacted with virtually. It's really been exciting to have met most or all of you personally yesterday. And I look forward to continuing our relationships over the next 2 days. Please discuss with me anything you can about the IWSA or myself. I love talking about our families. I love seeing your children. It is sad for me that my family's not here. It was just too hard to logistically get them all here, and it does make me sad. But at the same time, I love seeing your kids. It makes me think of Miranda. It makes me feel really special about what I do for the IWSA. It is something extra that I kind of add in, but it's something that I would never not do when I see your kids, when I think of my daughter. So thank you. Thank you for embracing me here. Thank you for making me feel so very welcome. And I hope you guys really enjoy everything today. And now I'm going to pull it over to Linda, who has just, I hate clapping already, but this has just been so awesome. It's so awesome. I love what you and Buren and all your friends have done. And thank you for also making me feel welcome. You've been driving me around everywhere, getting me here early today. I can't thank you enough. And thank you for a wonderful weekend.
Okay, welcome to Overpelt. Welcome on day 2 of the conference. Just some housekeeping rules. There is coffee right outside the door if you need it. There's a washroom right outside of the door if you need it. Your kids are happily playing downstairs. If there is anything wrong, they will come and get us. So I think we're good. We will start with Sherry, who's going to give us a report about the IWSA. Then Kelly has made a presentation about research related to aniridia and WAGR syndrome. We have a small break when we go downstairs, have a drink, and then we come back, and Elena is going to give us a presentation about aniridia Europe. No, we have Elena first, sorry, and then we have the break. Then we have someone from the University of Leuven, who is going to give a presentation about how to balance work life and taking care of your child. And after that, we have a presentation on challenging behavior. This person couldn't make it here, but so she also recorded it. Then afterwards, we have lunch together downstairs. In the afternoon from 2 to 4, there are other activities. I'm going to put some sign-up sheets there. There is a guided walk right across this venue. And there are some other activities, so you can look at it and decide which ones you want to sign up. If you want to just sit, have a drink and relax and chat with other families, that's okay as well. Okay, so our first speaker is our own Sherry. She's the executive director of the IWSA. She became the IWSA's first paid staff member in 2017 as the organization's part-time executive director. In this role, Sherry leads the day-to-day activities and coordinates programs and initiatives executed by volunteers all around the world. She has served the IWSA since 2016 when her daughter Amy was diagnosed with WAGR syndrome. Sadly, her daughter passed away in 2015, but it hasn't stopped Sherry from working hard for all of our kids and families. Sherry worked with the IWSA in a number of roles, including a volunteer, a board member, board chairperson, and co-chair. She has hosted 3 WAGR weekends herself in Maryland. And her passions are supporting families around the world and furthering Wilms tumor research. Sherry is also a co-author of results from the WAGR syndrome patient registry, which Kelly is going to discuss more later. Characterization of WAGR spectrum and recommendations for care management. She served as an administrator of the PCORI 2018 conference on Wilms tumor in WAGR syndrome, and she's the co-founder and currently serves as a board member of the ANA, Aniridia North America. That's a nonprofit organization focused on serving stakeholders in the Aniridia community. Thanks, Linda. That was a lot. Thank you. Thank you. This is so exciting to be here in Belgium and to meet some new families in person and then to reconnect with a lot of you who we've met before. We hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And like John said, we can't thank Linda and Bjorn enough for everything that's been planned. We hope that everything has gone well for you so far, and we have a great day in store today. So there's our thank you. Linda and Bjorn and Dylan have had a couple opportunities with local media, newspapers, TV to promote the event and let the community know about WAGR syndrome. Okay, John, it's not advancing.
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me, guys, I'm missing a slide. Can you help me for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, is this the next one?
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to try not to read my notes. So, you know, John and I are both here from the US, and he already told us about the fact that he's the board chair and also a member of the research and medical advisory advocacy group. And we also have Elena with us here today. She has a daughter with WAGR syndrome, and she serves as the secretary of Aniridia North America, and also is a member of the IWSA and that,
in the UK association also, because
and in the UK association also. So we'll hear from Elena a little bit later. Okay, so we're working now with Linda to expand our representation here in Europe as well as the US. And we've been doing this by attending and presenting at conferences and collaborating with other patient groups. Last year, as you see here, John and Linda and Elena and Kelly and I were in Spain at the Aniridia Europe conference, which was fantastic. We gave a presentation. Kelly, who's here in the black polka dot top, led a session. And then we attended patient meetings and worked with other group members. This was maybe the third or fourth time that those of us from the US got to work with Elena. And that was really exciting that we're now here back together again today. Not sure if everyone has seen this. It would be in your folder. Every year we produce this one-page report that at a glance lets you know what the organization has done the year before. And we use this for our families to know what we're doing. It's also a good document to share with our donors to let them know what they're supporting, other patient organizations who we can collaborate and work with, researchers and doctors and clinicians who are interested in WAGR syndrome, learning more to take better care of our children and potentially do research, and for friends and family members. So the report follows our mission, which is to promote awareness, stimulate research, and support families. So activities like WAGR Weekend would fall in the support families category. Last year, we were in Georgia, and we had the pleasure of Linda joining us there. We had 17 families in person in the US, and I think today here in Belgium, we have
18 families, which is wonderful. Last year, thank you all for coming. And last year also, we did send conference boxes to families who were not able to attend in person, which is also what we did during the pandemic when John's family was going to host in Philadelphia and we were not able to get together. A couple of the other things, I'll just scoot to here. So when we talk about awareness, that's basically for others who don't know about our syndrome. And there's a lot of information on the website, which is WAGR.org. Last night we were talking over dinner. I think Aaron was telling me that he knew one of his daughter Grace's physicians had been referring to the website to get a little more information. And we continue to add content. Last year we had 16,000 visits to the website, which is really exciting, and we can track where those visits come from around the world. Another way that we promote awareness is to hold our Awareness Day, and that's on the 13th of November. The 11/13 is November 13th in America. I know it's reversed in Europe for the day is first, so it's a little confusing. But last year we had 135 donors. That does help fund what we're doing. So this year we're hoping everyone can help us get involved. Linda has led some of those activities, so we'll have some more information about that soon. And one of the other ways that we are trying to promote awareness is by attending conferences, not just in the US, but around the world. And Kelly Trout, who is our research person, does a wonderful job. She'll be speaking after me. And those presentations help to stimulate interest from researchers who want to help learn more about WAGR syndrome. I'm not going to say too much about research, but we were talking about this last night at dinner too. We have a few projects going on right now that are on the scientific and medical side, but each one of our families here and others who are not present can participate in research by enrolling your child in the patient registry. We have over 200 patients enrolled now, and the information in there is very valuable. It's going to help provide better care for our kids. Another way that we're working on research is to collaborate with other organizations like Aniridia Europe. And in the US, we've helped create a new organization called Aniridia North America so that we can work side by side with Aniridia Europe about initiatives for aniridia, and we can learn a little bit more, provide better care, and have all of the doctors taking care of your children have access to better and more accurate information. So we'll be sharing more about that later, but we're really proud to be involved with that group as well. I think probably for most of our families, the most important thing is the support piece. We already talked about last year in Georgia in the boxes. We have our private Facebook support group. I think most of you are members. It's a safe place to communicate with each other, to ask questions, to get good feedback and support. And it's private, which is wonderful. Right now we have more than 300 members. That's moms and dads and primary caregivers. If you are not a member and you would like to be, please ask us and we'll make sure that that happens. WAGR Weekend is probably our most important event each year. So we're very happy to have this in Europe so that we can all be together and give you an opportunity. This is the 23rd year that the organization has had a formal WAGR Weekend. I think that's pretty exciting for a group that probably only has about 500 diagnosed cases that we know of. So you all are part of the 23rd event. which is great. And John's running this on Zoom. So we have folks who are not here in person. How many people are logged on now? Just a handful, maybe.
Yeah, it's under 10, but it's
okay.
also different times.
So back in the US, I think people are going to be watching this on tape because it's the middle of the night. But some here in Europe who couldn't come are actually with us on Zoom. So another way that we provide support is by welcoming new families, and that takes a team. I'm working on that team in the US. Linda is our European representative, and Chantal, who's here with her family from the Netherlands, helps to coordinate the welcomes in Europe. And I'll just show you real quick. We have Leslie, who's here in the middle in the zebra shirt, is our mom who makes the beautiful quilts that we send to the children. And she's here with her daughter, Ashley, her other two daughters, and her sister. They just did a great fundraiser for us in California. And they are also going to be hosting the US WAGR weekend next summer. So what we're showing here is some of the things that the new families receive in addition to the quilts. This is little Ivy from Australia. And this little baby over here is from Pennsylvania. So we're really happy to be able to provide those gifts to our new families. Michelle is here, and she has helped in the past with packages. So she's going to be working with Chantal and Linda to welcome new families in the UK. And we're going to be building out our representation, hopefully for each country. And we're going to start with Michelle and Aaron in the UK. So we talked a little bit about WAGR weekend. Here's our group picture from last year in Atlanta. And the last time we were in Europe, we were in Cambridge. Susan and Chris Wilkinson are here with us with their family, and Michelle and Aaron, and Lizzie and Matt are not here, but they all put together a wonderful weekend there. That was 4 years ago. And you can see we had a great group there as well. And we do use our bag here for a little promotion. Everywhere we go, we hold it up in front of us. So we have our logo. So we're hoping maybe in 2025 to come back to Europe and host another weekend in the UK. So there'll be more information about that another time. So at a future WAGR weekend, our group picture is going to be on a slide too. So one of the things we do in WAGR weekends are have an evening for the moms. All the moms last night, I hear, had a wonderful time. And this is the group that was in Atlanta last year. This is Karen from California, who does a lot of fundraisers and is going to organize WAGR weekend in California with her niece and with Caroline, who's Kelly's daughter. She turns 42 next week. So I'm almost done here. Just want to let you all know that the only way that we can do our work to support our families and try to further research is to have our families involved in the organization and working together. We would like to hear what it is as families. What would you like from us? What kind of information, what kind of activities? How can we help you? And let us tell you how you can help us. People like Linda is the European representative. She's doing an amazing job working with Eurordis, which is the European Rare Disease Organization. She's gone to conferences here in the EU and already Europe conferences. She coordinated this whole wonderful weekend in translations of a lot of our materials for our families who are not English speaking. Chantal supports Linda by managing the European family welcomes, and Michelle and Aaron are now coming into that family with us. So we're really excited. If you're interested, please let Linda know, or John or I, or we can just chat over the weekend. So I kind of just said this. We are going to be creating an advisory board for our families, and we'll put some information out about that. That'll be sort of a formal way for the leaders of the organization to hear back from the families. What would you like? What would you like to see at WAGR weekends? What kind of materials would you like to have to take to your doctors, to your child's teachers, to share with family members and friends? And we would like to have representatives from each country if possible, when we have new families, to help provide support to them. So we'd like to hear from you. Please let us know what you think, good or bad. So here are our emails. If you would like to talk to us over the weekend, great. We would appreciate that. And here's Kelly. She's our Director of Research and Medical Advocacy. She's one of the original founders of the group. And her daughter Caroline here is going to turn 42 next week. Kelly's pretty much the force behind the research that's going on. And she's going to talk next a little bit about what is research, what kind of research we're participating in now, and how each of our families can be involved in that. So thank you for listening, and please let me know what you think at some point over the weekend. So John's going to set Kelly.
So it's 2 a.m. in Texas right now, which is why Kelly's not with us, unfortunately, but she did create a wonderful video for us. For those who are in attendance, if you do have questions about any of the medical stuff, we'll try our best to answer it, but certainly we can communicate that to Kelly. And then anyone who is here virtually, same thing, there is a Q&A tab for you to pose questions. We are monitoring it, and we will do our best to answer those, but we also will save them and forward those to Kelly as well.
Hi, I'm Kelly Trout, and gosh, I wish I was there with you in person. But as you may have heard, my first grandchild decided to be born this summer, so here I am. But thank goodness for technology, because at least I can still present this WAGR research update to you, and I hope you know how much I look forward to seeing you guys for real next time. First, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who is already participating in the IWSA WAGR Patient Registry. As most of you know, the Patient Registry is the single most important research on WAGR syndrome that is currently going on in the world today. It is the research that's making all the other research possible. And we, the parents, the families, and the people who care about people with WAGR, are the ones who are making that happen. The patient registry, I am very proud to report, currently has 209 participants enrolled from 27 countries. I'm going to talk more about the patient registry. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit more about research in general. What is research in terms of WAGR syndrome? Does it really matter to understand what research is? Do you really need to know this? Well, obviously, I think the answer is a screaming yes. Research is what stands between our children and longer, better, healthier lives. So yeah, research matters about as much as breathing. So we all need to understand a little bit about how it works. And it's not that hard anyway. So come on. Let's start with the basics. Basically, there are 3 types of medical research. And the first one is basic science. Then there's translational research, and then there's clinical research. Oops. I'll get it right. Basic science research involves the study of animal models, animals that have the disorder the scientist is trying to learn more about. The IWSA is part of several basic science projects involving animal models, including brain development in zebrafish. No, these zebrafish don't actually look like this, but they do have PAX6 gene mutations, and PAX6 is the gene that's involved with aniridia. Also, frogs that have been bred to have aniridia, and mice who have been bred to develop Wilms tumors that are genetically the same as the Wilms tumors that our kids with WAGR get. So studying these animal models is a good way for scientists to learn more about aniridia in WAGR, Wilms tumor in WAGR, and being involved with these scientists is a good way for the IWSA to be on top of what the scientists are learning. The second type of medical research is translational research, and this one is my personal favorite. Translational research means collecting all the information, everything you know about a disorder so far, and asking, what now? And what's next? This is the slot where the WAGR patient registry fits. The IWSA created the WAGR patient registry as a way to collect everything we know about WAGR syndrome on a dedicated, high-level, secure platform, and to use that data to help patients both right now and in the future. For example, it helps us answer your questions like, how many WAGR kids have hearing problems, or heart problems, or funny little toes, or chronic kidney disease? It also helps us to publish this data in medical journals, which gives doctors everywhere the answers to these questions too. And it helps tell them what to do about it as well. And I'll talk more about this in a minute. The data in the WAGR patient registry is also the mighty engine that drives the third type of research, which is clinical. Clinical research studies humans and focuses on coming up with quicker diagnostic tests, safer procedures, more effective drugs and treatments, and when we're lucky, preventions and even cures. The WAGR patient registry led to the very first clinical study of WAGR syndrome ever at the U.S. National Institutes of Health back in 2014. It also led to the IWSA's current partnership and ongoing work with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. There's lots of information about these studies on the WAGR.org website. But here is the first big thing that came out of the IWSA Children's Hospital study. It's a medical journal article that describes the largest group of WAGR patients ever studied. Incredible for such an ultra-rare disorder. It proves that many of the symptoms and conditions that parents have struggled with for ages and been told, oh, that's just your child, are actually part of WAGR syndrome. And most important of all, it makes official evidence-based recommendations to doctors about how to care for children and adults with WAGR. Finally, thanks to the parents who have enrolled their children in the WAGR patient registry so far, we have achieved some life-saving, life-altering new medical guidelines. These include lifelong screening for Wilms tumor, not just up to age 8, checking children for kidney function should begin at birth and should continue on a regular basis. So if problems develop, they can be caught early and treated promptly. Metabolic disorders, behavior issues, and neurologic conditions also require specific, intentional screening because, again, early diagnosis and treatment can make a big difference. If you haven't seen these new guidelines, there are copies of them in your WAGR weekend folders. They're also available on the IWSA website, wagr.org. Now, here's what I recommend for everyone. Go to the website and print out a copy of the full article. Give it to your child's doctor, or give one to every one of your child's doctors. You can also print out just the specific guidelines, like this one for Wilms tumor. This is great for when you have to prove to your doctor that it's not just you saying that the ultrasounds for Wilms tumor should continue. It's official, published, evidence-based, expert recommendation. But as you well know, we all still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of questions, don't we? Like the behavior problems that are being discussed at this WAGR weekend today. Most kids with WAGR syndrome have them, and there are so many different types. Chronic constipation, feeding issues, sleep problems. And these are all just a few of the topics and problems that we know are big problems for our kids. How do we get answers to these questions? How do we help doctors find answers that will help our children? You guessed it. Enroll in the WAGR patient registry. The patient registry really is the single most important thing you can do to help your child right now and in the future. It's easy to enroll online. You can request a paper copy and have one mailed to you. Participating in the registry is free, it's private, and all the data is maintained on a secure platform. And what exactly is the registry? Well, it's a lot of questions. It's questions about your child's medical history, their development, and symptoms and features that are part of WAGR. Now, if that sounds kind of intimidating, don't worry. Every question includes the option of "I don't know" as an answer. And it's perfectly okay to click "I don't know." And also, there's plenty of help available. So if you have any trouble, Sherry, John, or Linda is right there to help you while you're here for WAGR weekend. And there will also be myself and others who can help you virtually after you get home. And a word for those of you who are already enrolled. Hang on a minute. You're not off the hook. It's very important to update your child's information every year. We want to know how they're growing and how they're getting on. Or whenever they have a new illness or a new diagnosis or they have surgery. So if you haven't visited the registry website in a long time, it's time to get busy and pop back in. Now here's what the WAGR Syndrome Patient Registry page looks like on the website. And as you can see, our little zebra friend is pointing to the button to enroll or update now. And that's it. That's all it takes to help your child right now and for years to come. And once again, thank you. Thank you to Linda and all of her friends and family who made this wonderful WAGR weekend possible. I know it's wonderful because I know Linda and everyone who's been working on it has been working for months. And thanks to all of you for coming. I know you're all having a glorious fun time and I am so jealous. So have a blast for me and please remember to take lots of pictures. Thanks. Bye.
I know I'm guilty as charged. I feel like I need Kelly's presentation every year to remember to update Miranda's. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. The next presenter is Elena. Elena is the founder of Aniridia Bulgaria, and she serves as the secretary of Aniridia Europe. She has a 20-year-old daughter, Joanna, who is here with us. Today, she will give a presentation about Aniridia Europe, introduce us to the organization, and explain how this organization can be a source of information for WAGR families in Europe and beyond. Thank you.
I just want to check if you can hear me well, or I have to use microphone. Let's check. Maybe it will be better.
Very close.
One, 2. No, not different.
All the way.
1, 2.
Yep.
Oh, very close to the mouth.
Yes.
But it's better now. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. It will be, but it will be challenged to me to keep it too close to my mouth. Anyway, first of all, I want to say thank you to the organizers of this event because I only can imagine how challenging it is because of because here we are from different countries, we speak different languages, and it is possible to have a language, kind of language barrier. But yesterday I realized that we can overcome it. So thank you to organizers, and thank you that they made this event possible. First, I will start with a briefly introduction of my family, national association, which I represent, and Aniridia Europe organization, where I am a board member since last summer. Just to change the slide. This is a picture of my family, my husband. We have also a son who is 21 years old. Linda already mentioned that we have a daughter with WAGR syndrome. She is 23 years old. We are from Bulgaria, but we have lived in UK since 2014, which is almost nine years. And She visits specialist college in London, where she develops her communication skills and daily life skills. So she can she become more independent in her life. Unfortunately, next academic year will be the last one for her. And but the name of the college is John Dewey. By the way, American people knows very well who is it. He's an American philosopher and education reformer, and he believes that education is not preparation for life. Education is life. So I hope that after the college, my daughter also will have opportunity to develop her potential in different environments, because we study and grow every day, and it is not only for our children, it is about all of us. Aniridya, Bulgaria was established 11 years ago, when after my participation in European meeting, where I for first time met a lot of representatives of many European countries. And returning in Bulgaria, I created a Facebook group and start looking for other patients with aniridia. And also we contacted the National Association of Rare Disease, people with rare disease, and they help us to establish the association. And after we establishment of our association, we applied for membership in Aniridia Europe. But before we established Aniridia Europe, there were several European meetings just on several representatives of patients, and John, I need your support. Can I go back on the previous slide? Okay, thank you. Now maybe it's more clear that we have four informal European meetings. Then the decision to establish the federation was taken by a teleconference in September 2011, and in late 2011 was the formal establishment of the Aniridia Europe, and its headquarters is in Oslo, Norway. Also, the next year, 2012, was the first General Assembly of the Aniridia Europe, and it also was the time when we held our first Aniridia Europe conference. By the way, General Assembly and the Aniridia Europe Conference, there happens every 2 years. The main goals of Aniridia Europe is to support people with aniridia and their family, to support medical research on aniridia, and to support the establishment and development of National Association of Aniridia. Also, we want to cooperate with other national and international organizations and institutions. The Aniridia Europe has full memberships and affiliated members. Full members, 40 national associations. the difference between full members and affiliated members is that the full members can vote on the General Assembly. Every full member have rights to one vote. Also, we have a lot of contacts with patients from other countries, and the full members they have membership fee, and this is one of the funding source of the Energy Europe. Other funding sources are projects, donations, also EURGIS grants and sponsors. About EURGIS, I will tell more later. And about it is the same about the national associations, but depends on a government policy. Some of the national associations receive funding from the government. About the organization structure of Energy Europe, there is board of directors. The current number of members is 9. Every year, the board member has usually 5-6 meetings, and the General Assembly, I already mentioned that is held every 2 years. There is a scientific committee. I will tell more about it in the next slide. Also, there is nominating committee, which role is to propose people for the next Energy board. Every national association sent suggestions about member of the new board, and then nominating committee conduct interview with them, and on the General Assembly they provide the suggestions of some nominations, but on the end every who has rights to vote can give the vote, and it is not sure that what the nominating committee suggests, like board members, will be the same when everyone votes. About scientific committee, it was established during the first General Assembly. In the beginning, it consists maybe 5 or 6 doctors, but now you can see there may be 3 times more. Also, the chairperson of the scientific committee is Dr. Dominique Bermougenet from France. We also have invited experts in the scientific committee, and this is Dr. James Lauderdale, who had a presentation in the last Energy Europe conference. And the topic was very interesting. It was consequences of PAX6 mutations in the brain and endocrine system, which is this presentation was in separate sessions, especially about WAGR syndrome. About the goals, of course, the goals is to generating and navigating research of Energy and also to promoting communication between researchers group and medical professionals to avoid duplication. About, and just to mention something about Aniridya Europe website, maybe most of you already know about it and check the information there. It includes 16 languages, and also there is direct links to national associations websites, and everyone who has participate in national association also can check the information there. We try to maintain all new information on the websites. It has not only scientific information, but includes also institutional information, and you can check all sections to see what is useful for you. About events which Aniridya Europe provide, one of the most important is European Aniridya Conference. This conference has primarily it is primarily scientific conference and aims to gathering researchers, practitioners, and patients. Up to now, we already have 6 conferences behind us in 6 different countries. And last year, we celebrate 10 years since our first conference. As I mentioned, we already have separate session for WAGR syndrome, which is good about our collaboration and for our future common work. Because I think that when we work together, this allows more, provoke more insights for the research. And here we already prepare our next Aniridya conference, which will be in Stockholm, Sweden, and with the organizers, they provide the message that they will try to allow us to accept the latest research about Aniridya and medical expertise. And of course, you are very welcome to join on this conference. Registration will start November this year, so you are very welcome to join. Another event is Aniridya Day. Maybe most of you already participate during the years, and it starts like idea of Aniridya Europe, but then we decide that this have to be international day, and this is why we didn't keep direct link on our website, but we just publish news about the Aniridya Day, but we help and support this organization. Also, every year we set different slogan and theme, but every person and organization decide exactly how to implement this theme in social media or some events on national level. Another topic which I want to mention, and maybe this is the most important, is about our Aniridya Europe ongoing projects. There are a lot, and I just quickly will mention them. First of them, which I will mention, is projects which are from cost and reduction and Iridium Net, and they include 6 working group. They're researchers, patients, and everyone contributes with the best way about their realization. These clinical guidelines, for example, it is created by 13 European experts, and it is for will be useful for practitioners, and because it includes questions and answers. Another project is patient-driven research, which is where the working group create questionnaires and provide survey, not only with the questions are not only with medical experts, but also with social experts. The last one, which was done involved almost 300 patients, and we think that this is good numbers of involving, because it is on voluntary base. Another project is about experimental treatment for congenital aniridia associated keratopathy. There are a lot, they have to evaluate which approach is more potential for this treatment, for this disease. As you can see, there is gene therapy, a very innovative approach, but we will see what they will publish, like the results. This one is about another working group create this book, which is Aniridia, A Journey to a Brighter Future, and it is like the idea is with one easy to understand way, children and parents of children with aniridia to understand better what is aniridia. It is already have translation on several languages. Here is barcode from where you can download this translation. Also, you can download from the Aniridia.net EU website. I think that many national associations will want to translate it to their languages and to share to their patients. Another project is from Erasmus Plus program. It is the title is Seeing the Invisible. Here, the idea is this app to help children, and not only with aniridia but with albinism. This app is for their for the school subjects, and the aim is to help not only to children but to teachers to achieve better success in their education. But now this project is on stage when students of aniridia test this platform. So now we collect the last feedback about it, and soon it will be available for using. Another project is again from Erasmus Plus program. It calls Together for Inclusion. And here the aim is young people with low vision to receive training and to how to lead and to create how to lead to the creation of a new association. And what is interesting here that for first time we have organizations from South America, not only from Europe, and also it includes not only organizations of NRD organizations, but organizations for other rare diseases like albinism. This is another project, and the program which funding the project is with a budget of 95.5 billion. It is very ambitious program, and this project which starts now, the name is Restore Vision, and it involves it is for 7 rare eye diseases, and the idea is to be kind and develop new treatment and drugs for the cornea.
Yeah, okay.
Just two words about this project, like example that different national associations can realize the project together. This one is between Aniridea, Bulgaria and Aniridea, Norway. Here are several organizations with which we collaborate. You are familiar with some of them. Maybe just I have to say about Eurodis that this is umbrella organization for rare disease association in Europe, and they support us with grants when we need for some networking work for meetings. And last, what I want to mention is about the Aniridea network, European reference networks. There are 24. Idea is of this reference works is they're virtual, and they connect specialists from different countries, and who exchange knowledge, data, and this is the easy way patients to receive more qualified, better treatment on the basis of the collaboration between which is result of this collaboration between different specialists from different expert centers. And there are 24 for different disease, but and one of them is about rare eye disease. And this network allows to cover more than 900 rare eye disease. And thank you for your attention and patience.
Okay, we're going to have a short break, 15 minutes, because we want to start with the next presentation. The presenter is here already at 11. There is a washroom outside, coffee, tea, and water right here. If you want to go downstairs, get some juice and see your kids, you can also go downstairs. So at 11, we will start here again.
So if anybody heard, we'll be taking a break. It's here virtually.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Starts next. Leave this book up on the table and say that it has.
Okay.
Hi, Linda.
This doesn't help much, sorry.
Yeah, no, just, no, you did great.
What amazed me is there was no Benelux representation in any of the
No
any of
way.
the Benelux, like in Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. That's
Oh,
what they
okay.
call the Benelux.
For what? For the presentations?
No. Participation in any of the research or clinical.
So some of the hard stuff that we come across, like the research we're doing in the US is privacy laws, getting medical information.
Not even doctors participating in the groups of research from. the
There's not
Netherlands,
much,
nobody.
and I think some of it is, and I've talked to Linda, so I will be honest with you, I've been involved for about 6-7 years now. Last year was my first step into the international forum when I went to Anaridia International, and I'm really, Kelly, who spoke, I'm really trying to, learn from her. She's just been around this for a long time, new to the game, very new. The best thing I can do is just listen
Mhm.
and learn, because I have plenty of time to start injecting my viewpoints and things. And I'm doing that as the board chair now for the IWSA, but from the research side, I know Belgium has, you saw their associated members, so they're not fully involved yet. And I think that's something, Linda's still new. She's
Mhm.
been on board
Mhm.
member for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, even so, it amazes me that the level of knowledge or knowing about even when Emma was born, the doctor had to look it up in the book.
Yeah. And that's, our big push first was the WAGR spectrum study, right? To use our registry. One, because we've been for years pushing, complete the registry. They did
Even 32 years
yeah.
of age.
Oh my God, yeah, because like so much, so one of the problems we have in here is people that are newly diagnosed, families tend to do that stuff. But then we don't know enough data about, like one of the things we found out, for example, is chronic kidney disease. Like, well, the assumption because I always brought up for my daughter Miranda, let's get blood work. Well, no, she hasn't had Wilms. You're fine. That all that chronic kidney disease is because the kidneys are. Guess what? There's a stronger association between obesity, high blood pressure, and cholesterol, so metabolic syndrome, to chronic kidney disease than it is with Wilms. So in the absence of Wilms, if you have that metabolic profile, you're much more at risk for having chronic kidney disease. And that was only found out because of people who continue to update it, because a 20-year-old may not have chronic kidney disease, but a 30-year-old in WAGR is much more likely. And so that's why it's really important no matter what age, because there are, because think about it, just like you and I, right? If you go to a doctor with a complaint, they're going to triage and think about you based on your age and your sex and your past medical history. And as you go into the decades, there's different concerns, right? Like you're not going to think of a 20-year-old who complains of so-and-so as maybe having cancer, but someone who's 65 or 70, now you have to start considering it, right? Like that's an example. And that's why it's so important to keep updating. And I'm terrible at it.
Thank you for the heads up. The mom has inherited what's this blood fat? What, which gives a heart problem? This, the fat level in the blood is too high. How do you call it again?
High cholesterol?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, she has it by birth, and she has the bad boy. And she might have given it to Amber as well. So those two things come together.
Yes, and that's,
Having a Williams tumor as well. Which,
yes.
by the way, they stopped treating by age of 13 in the Netherlands.
Well, in the US, it's at 8 years old. They
Yeah.
don't want to do screening. And, you know, I always say the part that was like my little triumph was our doctor, at Children's Hospital, it's called predisposition oncology. They wanted to stop testing for Miranda at 8. And the doctor, who I'm close with, Dr. Bordor, was like, well, barring any new evidence, we can't really find any reason to continue to support these ultrasounds. A year later, we're in his office and he brought in the article and he's like, I brought this because this has never occurred. A year ago, we had this conversation and now I have this study. Your name's on it because I'm one of the authors. And now I have to continue monitoring your daughter.
Now I have to.
Well, not have to, you know, like we,
Yeah, I'm obliged to
I'm-
continue.
I'm
Yeah.
very fortunate, you know, why I'm trying to be more involved is, you know, I'm not a physician. I am finishing up my research doctorates now, but I do have a lot of I've worked for hospitals for 20
Mhm,
years.
mhm.
And so I have a lot of not necessarily direct connections, but I have some influences. And I don't use
And you
them.
observe.
I don't use them very often.
Mhm.
But when I do,
Yeah.
I'm pretty dog-headed. Like
Mhm.
I'll run through it.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that'll continue. I've looked at leaving where I'm at, but where I'm at a hospital, I can't. I have to look at the value that it has for Miranda. So
Oh, yeah.
I've looked at
continuously, yeah,
leaving, like,
yeah.
because I've considered going to academia full time and things like that, but then I'm nervous because it's like, well, if I'm not here, I don't have,
Mhm, mhm.
you know, I don't have to call the secretary and wait for a doctor to call me back.
Yeah.
I can email them directly, call them directly.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
Not
Understand what you're
in
saying.
like a braggadocious way,
Mhm.
like at least I can get that done.
Mhm.
Because not all of us can. And so if I can do it for more people.
Well, this is what I wondered, observing the presentation, is that at first there's hardly any representation in the various groups, which I wondered.
Yeah.
Then I wondered, the institute that Amber is with, how many, I mean, what is, people are there, they don't know.
You're up, yeah. Give me 1 second. What I would say is this, if you ever come across a physician, and whether or not they're well versed, if they have the passion, connect them to them. Because even if they don't, if they just want to know and they want to get involved, we have the structure in
Well,
place. with
the
different physicians.
institute that Amber lives with. We're in some of the parent groups. You can find out who is the best person to talk to get more awareness of LGD and heart syndrome.
But we recognize, it's like Children's Hospital for Lung Cancer. And so I was in a tailspin mentally because I'm like, wait, there's no better hospital I'd rather be at.
Yeah.
And yet they didn't. But now it's fine if they don't. I'm getting them.
Yeah.
Working together, and now we're starting to get physicians there who have an understanding of it, which is only going to benefit my daughter, but also wants to.
Oh, yeah, well, that's exactly. That's exactly. The detection is very.
Yeah. And we're even looking at better genetic codes that are even more sensitive. That'll show more deletion. They don't have anything. And that's why, like,
It was mentioned in the book.
so when I talk to you and some of us, like our other board members. I can't imagine. We can't. And all I'm hoping is that 20 years from now, I'm talking to a version of myself who's looking at me and going, I can't even imagine because we've moved that far.
Question. I was always told that there was a deletion of 11B. So what does it mean? Is it B or P?
P.
And P stands for pack?
No, that's pack 6. That's part of it. The 11 is just the, it's, I forget what it's
It's
called. It's the
chromosomes
measure-
11.
Yeah, it's the measurement within there. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Get her on,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I'll talk to you.
yeah,
about it in a second. I have you up. Come on over. So we're live right now, so I'm just gonna.
Thanks, everyone, for being patient. We are starting in just a couple minutes. Yes.
Before you start, I want to just say one thing I forgot
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
mention, Jenny.
So the microphone, you have to have like your lips on it. I would suggest, can you talk? Like, if you can talk like a little bit, I would go without it.
Oh, okay. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you for being here. My name's John Marks.
yes, yes.
Very nice to meet you. I appreciate it. So Sherry, I think it was just gonna say.
Ik ben wel niet de.
Ik heb op internet gekeken. Op de
Ja,
website.
nee, van Magenta. En
Oké.
wij zijn ingedrukt.
In de.
Dus
Oké.
maar anders gaan de proffen zeggen. Good morning.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hello,
Thank
Sherry.
you very much for coming. I want to say something. Start of time, or when we start. Can I get everybody in the hall?
Oh, thank you very much.
John, you want to just ask everybody, say we're ready to start?
All right, is everybody ready to start?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Thank you.
Okay, our next presenter is. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt, but I just wanted to say something real quick. I forgot in my presentation. I meant to mention that we're very grateful that Jenny is here with us today. I don't want to embarrass you, Jenny, but you're a gem for our group. And a lot of parents have been telling us over the years how helpful your insight and your experiences are. So we want to say thank you for joining us again and for helping to support our families.
Our next presenter is Noor Segers. Noor is the team lead of the Magenta project, and she works at the Parenting and Special Education Research Unit at the University of Leuven. She has been a co-author of numerous articles on parenting special needs kids and on a book on how to manage the work life and taking care of your child balance. And on the last topic, she's going to give a presentation today.
Okay, good morning. As Linda mentioned, my name is Noor. And I'm here on behalf of Magenta. Magenta is a project that focuses on parents and families, but especially on parents with a child between birth and 25 years old with disabilities or severe chronic disease. We have a team of 5 part-time working people, and we have nowadays 14 parents who conduct groups of other parents all over Flanders, that's the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium, and in Brussels. So we have 14 parents, and they are all experts by expertise, experts by experience, I'm sorry. Because we all have a child with special needs. Myself, I fell down the stairs with my baby girl when she was 3 months old, and she has brain damage and a physical disability. Now she's 32, and so we had a journey with ups and downs, as you all know, because when you have a child with special needs, that is also, yes, special demanding of the parents and the siblings and the child itself, because when I have 2 daughters, life for Nele was more intense, more complex. It still is nowadays. She had a baby herself 1.5 years ago, but she cannot take care of the child a whole day long. So even in being a mom, she's very happy that she can be a mom, but it's not that simple to cope with everything and to do all the things a baby needs. So I am a grandmom with, I'm very, I like to take care of the baby and to share with my daughter the caring. What we do with Magenta, we have a program for parents, and we have 2 different types of programs. We focus for the children between birth and 14 years old on the work-life care balance of the parents. And then we have since, I think, 3 years for parents with children up on 15 years and the transition to adulthood. We have special programs, because when the child leaves education, it starts again, but with a lot of opportunities. You can think very freely, and maybe some dreams that cannot be met when you're at school, maybe it's possible after school. So it's really exciting, but also sometimes very hard transition period. We made some toolboxes that parents can use, but that also professionals can use in accompanying families. And we have the training for professionals, and sometimes from the government, they ask us to do a research project to advise on the family quality of life when there is a child with special needs. For the parents of children between birth and 14 years old, we focus on care work-life balance of the parents.
I think you're being attacked.
So
That was
I won't
interesting.
say it twice.
Yeah.
For the parents of children between birth and 14 years old.
Is that from you?
It's what I said.
All right, go ahead.
For the parents of children between birth and 14 years old,
we focus on
care work-life balance of the parents, and we took a managerial point of view because there is a lack of time, energy, and it's important to lever the resilience of the parents. So we found some ideas in time management principles.
and we work on that with parents. For sharing care, we have a look at delegation skills, and for partnerships with professionals, we were inspired by meeting skills. We organize workshops 4 times 2.5 hours in Flanders and in Brussels, in Belgium.
There's nothing else playing. No, we don't want the laptop. We don't want the laptop volume down.
For the parents of children between birth and 14 years old, we focus on care work-life balance of the parents, and we took a managerial point of view because there is a lack of time and energy, and it's important to lever the resilience of the parents. So we found some ideas in time management principles, and we work on that with parents. For sharing care, we have a look at delegation skills, and for partnerships with professionals, we were inspired by meeting skills. We organize workshops 4 times 2.5 hours in Flanders and in Brussels, in Belgium.
So many years. So it is trying to find some people this doing everything without me. Maybe I can leave the room. And so for sharing care, we thought of delegation. It's a kind of delegation. How do managers do it, and how can you do it as a parent? And also meetings with professionals at hospital, at school. It's a kind of meeting setting. So we can use some meeting skills to get in contact with other people. Now I was said that it is a very strong group, so I am doing now in 3/4 of an hour what we normally do in 10 hours. No, I just have a selection of some things that I can. I think a lot of people have an issue with time. Who of you has enough time? You have? That's nice. So
I'm not short in time.
you're not sure.
No.
Okay.
Sometimes I am, but just adjust.
During lunch, sit next to him. Brilliant ideas, because we see that sometimes it's a bit about choices, making choices, but you have to have the opportunity to make a choice. For example, when you're a single parent, you don't have the same choice as when you're a couple. And so each situation, each family, and each person is very different. And you have to make your own choices. And we just give some ideas. Because if you think of time, then you see the clock. But we have another concept of time. It is a necklace. And this necklace is 24 hours. It's not just as the clock. You cannot just, I'm a bit short of time today. Give me 2 more hours. Doesn't work. And also this chain is 24 hours. You cannot chain it. But on the chain, the necklace, there are, what do you call it in English? Beads. And so every bead is 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1/4 of an hour. So it is a chain of moments in which you do different things. And that's our key thinking about time. And you can always also consider it, for example, this is sleep. Which of you who has more than 8 hours sleep a night, or you don't? You can do that. So sometimes also get enough time to sleep is an issue. And then we have to have a look and search for little periods of time so that you can add 1 more hour to sleep every night. But there is, I have some bad news. You have to dismiss something else. And a lot of parents, and also a lot of people with disabilities or with a disease, they have to go to therapists. So if there are children here in the room, maybe you can also get some ideas of me. The lack of leisure time and the lack of time to have social contacts for fun. When I talking to my husband and we are saying who will get the bread for tonight, that is housekeeping. That is arranging the housekeeping because the bread has to be bought. But when I talk to my husband and it's just at ease for fun, that is green time. That is time that really gives us some energy that we like to do. And so if you see the necklace and you have maybe a sort of leisure time or sleeping time, then we have to look at other parts of our life. For example, the housekeeping. Can we there dismiss some moments and can we there collect an hour or maybe half an hour each day to have more for ourselves? It's not easy because now I'm talking about it and you can just fix it to change things, but it's not that easy. But maybe it can help you if you really say, I'm feeling exhausted, I need some more time for myself to get sleep, to have some relaxation. How can I find it? And that's what we're going to see. And give some ideas. Okay, this is my present for you. I give you 15 minutes. And what can you do in 15 minutes that is really good for you, that you enjoy? What would you do in 15 minutes?
Listening to you.
Listen to me. Oh, yeah, that's so nice. Take a walk. Take a walk.
Take my bike.
A bike.
Exercise.
Exercise.
Sometimes, yeah.
Reading a book. Gardening. So some people and they're
Take power there.
take a power nap. That's the secret. Take a power nap, and then you have for the rest of the day more energy, and you can do more. But it works. I experienced it. So if you don't have those 15 minutes a day, then you can have a look. Another exercise is I give you a day.
Oh.
And you don't have to bother on the children. A day free for yourself, and you can choose whether you spend the day with your partner or alone or with a friend. And you can start to think about it. How late will I get up? And then what will I do in the morning, and at noon, and in the afternoon, and in the evening? Just imagine, dream about it. And then sometimes you can integrate it in your life. For example, there was a lady and a mother, and she told me, yes, on the evening I'm watching television, but it doesn't really gives me a lot. But if I have a day, I go a day to the sauna, wellness, and then we have 4 sessions with parents. On the third session, she came back. I have lie down 3 times a week. I stopped looking to television and then I take a bath and the book and I'm there for an hour in my bath. And it is bringing me so much more than watching a program I don't really interested in. So it's a bit ruim exchange moments with yourself. So even with the green beats, the leisure time, sometimes it's a bit amazing that sometimes you do things while you're not working or housekeeping or taking care or sleeping, but it doesn't bring you enough. Then you can change it. For example, you go in your bath 3 times a week and it brings you more. So that's the idea of making choices. And how can you, because if you want to have more time, for example, sleep, you have to take some other bits away. So this is transportation. Going from one place to another. This is for a woman who has no child with special needs. So she has a partner and little children. So her care time, it is about 1.5 hours a day. But for some of us, especially also in my case, sometimes it was 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, that I was in the car bringing her to the physiotherapist, and I was waiting there, and also that, and also I was concentrated because they learned me how to work with her, even at home, we worked. So then you have to make some choices because if you oblige, you don't have the choice that you go with the child to the therapist. You don't want to dump that. So you have to look for other things to done. And ask you, do I really need to do this? Do I really want it? Where is my habits? I was raised by a mother and she was ironing everything. Everything. Oh. You also do? Yeah, sorry. It's a choice. But if you have lack of leisure time and lack of sleeping time, maybe you can consider to stop or to diminish the ironing. I saw when I came in this morning, did you thought, oh, that lady, she should iron more. You can be, I hope, well presented without ironing. So it is a good habits, we're thinking of habits. I have a friend, and each week she washes all the cupboards in the kitchen. Wow. It's okay if she likes to do it. When I ask some people, what would you like to do when you have a day? They say, I would, that's mine.
Oh, my laundry.
Is that what you really like? Then do it. But if you hate to do it, so maybe you can go.
Neighbor.
Ask a neighbor. Yes, can someone else do it? The neighbor or your son-in-law of
There we go.
or your children. You can also delegate some things to your children. But this here, think about it. What can I do? What don't I? It's not. I do it because it's my habit. But maybe it's not necessary. also seeing some people, and you have the habit of seeing them every week or every month, is it really valuable for you? Or do you want to a bit reduce the time with them? Not every week, but every 2 weeks, and then you have more time for the two of you. Or to see a good friend you already thought about for ages, but you never have time to have a meeting. And then we have the traditional time management tricks. So I have Linda, she's now gone. Delegation.
She's delegation.
Here, these are the questions. Can someone else do it, or do I want someone else to do it? Because that's also, we have a lot of thresholds in giving work to do by other people, and especially also taking over the care of the child. That's not always that easy. So we have a checklist, and it was translated to English because not all of our tools are translated in English. For the people from the Netherlands, I have good news. We have an e-learning platform with Kind- en Ziekenhuis, Stichting Kind- en Ziekenhuis, and then a lot of the ideas are integrated in that e-learning platform, and you can use it for free. And so if you want to exercise your Dutch, you can, I invite you also to have a look at the e-learning platform. So the delegation thresholds and stimuli, what encourages you to delegate to other people, stimulus. Yeah. Well, what motivates you to give some tasks to other people? So you have a checklist, and then you can a bit see what are my thresholds, what are very good reasons for me, because also everyone is different. But then you have a better view on it, and then maybe it becomes a bit more easier to delegate something to other people. Yeah, that is voilà. About delegation, my daughter, she's once said to me, your delegation modus habits is one of the most precious gifts you gave to me. Because I never put the wheelchair in and out the car myself. Wherever I was, I just saw someone, because I have a problem. I have to be very careful with myself. Yeah. So I asked just someone who walked by, could you please help me? And I asked a lot of help. I am very used to doing it, and I feel good at it. 2 weeks ago, my house burned down, and the day after, my mother died. So we had 2 terrible weeks because we lost our house and my mother, and there was a lot to do. But yesterday, we found a new house to live in for a year now. And I just, everyone's who asked me, can I help you? I always say yes. And I always have an idea. Oh yes, thank you very much. You could do this, or you could do that. I am, yes, it is a bit in my nature. I was born so. But a lot of, and also my daughter said, as you are so good in asking for help, I don't have difficulties in asking for help because I need a lot of help. I'm very able to do a lot of things, but some other things are very demanding for me. and I can do it. But then I have to rest for hours because I exceeded one of my limits. And so she said, I am so grateful that you showed me that's okay to ask for help. And so one of our professors, she also wrote a chapter in the book, and she said, having trust in other people to take care of your child, that is giving the present of to your child, that there other people can be trusted and that other people can help you. And so delegation, it is not because you are lazy. It is just people like people. There were 10 people coming to clean my new house. 10 people. There was, it was very messy, dirty. So it took 32 hours to clean, but we shared it. And so all people were very happy that they could help us. And that's a bit, if you have a very big threshold to delegate and to ask for help, maybe this can help you, that you give a present at the same time. You can be confident, you know, other people to help. And it's not always. My daughter also, she fell in Leuven, we live at Leuven, and there is a marketplace with all cafes. Pubs. And then she fell down on that place. No one came to help her. And she asked for help, and the people just, she was there, and she called me, can you come? Nobody is helping me. So we also have the negative experiences, but we also have other experiences. And I will challenge you very much to have another kind of listening. In our workshops, I also say, if someone says to you, can I help you? Can I do something for you? A lot of parents have the nature of the, oh, it's over. And it's a kind of refusing. It's given, but you don't take it and accept it. And so sometimes I challenge parents. Yes, now every time if you have someone ask us, can I help you? We have these little cards with magenta and explaining of what we do. And some people, they then they get the little cards and they say, oh yes, you can help me. Thank you. What you thinking of? Preparing a meal, doing the transportation of the child to the school once in a month. What would you like to do? And they just noted it down. And it is a bit strange maybe, but that is working for some parents. And it maybe can help you to have more sleeping time and more leisure. And also if you if you have special needs, you can use it. So I will just show you, I have 1/4 of an hour left, I think, 10 minutes left. I'll show you just some tools because we work in the research group on family quality of life. And it is not about quality of life of the person with special needs. Very important that they have a good quality of life, but it's also about quality of life of parents, of siblings, and of the family as a whole. How can you share good time? What do you really enjoy to do together? And it's not always that easy because you have the visibility of one person and the impairment of one person in the family. But however, how can we have a good family life together? What do we all like to share? And sometimes, for example, we went on a family holiday each year, but my daughter Lena, with a special need, she stayed with my mother, while we were away. And it's not an easy choice. I was sleeping all the time when she was not with us, until the last time we did it. And I said, yes, Leila, this year you can join us because we changed. 1 year we went without her because she was very impaired. And the other year she came for the family holiday. And I said, yes, this year it's the family, you can join us on the family holiday. She was looking at me and she said, if you really want it, I will join you. But you know that I prefer to stay with Oma. And I had the luck that I had a child who could express that. So that was one of the greatest presents she gave to me, saying it is more than okay that I don't join the family holiday. Because at that time, her older sister, she was free of caring. I was free of caring. My husband was free of caring. And we love caring for her. That's not. But one week every 2 years, it was okay. And she was having VIP arrangement at my mother's house. So sometimes that you have to make some choices. So it is not about the fulfillment of individual needs of every member of the family, and also the living together as a family and having a good time. There are several dimensions, and they are here. There's a lot of research done on this topic, and we made of it a small play. You have the 9 domains of what is important, of what can be important for each family member. And then you can just put it in red, orange, green, what is okay, what is less okay, and you can start to talk about it. For example, some mothers, they stopped working, and for some it's okay. But for others, it is so important going to work that they say, now that's my priority, that I start to work again. And so we did the exercise of the 15 minutes and having a good quality of life for yourself as a talent. That's also important. And then it's not only about 15 minutes or a day for leisure time, but to really have time to do what is important for you. And yes, that can give a better idea for also for the siblings. Siblings can also use the little cards and say what is okay for me, what is not okay, and I would like to change in the coming year. This is one, the family quality of life tool. Then we have the energy lift. So it's a bit, you can just have the drawing. What is your satisfaction level with your life at this moment? And what is your energy level? So sometimes it's the same, but sometimes it's on different levels. And it is, we see here again, we have the pink circle, this is the caring, We have the blue one, the housekeeping, maybe professional career, the yellow one. Sleep is a bit squeezed in between. Leisure, social context is reduced. And so it depends on what is on your shelf and how do you yourself draw it. Is your satisfaction level with the life as you have it very high, and you can draw it very high. But maybe the energy level is very low. You are doing because it's very valuable for you to do a lot of things and to commit to have volunteering work in the municipality and going to work and taking care not only for your child but also for 5 other people, and you're doing a lot. And it's okay if it's okay for you, if that is important for you, just you can go and continue. But when your energy level is very low, then you have to think about it maybe to change. And there are different ways. You can then, that is a strategy. You can reduce or put bigger some balls on your, how do you scale? Yeah. Scale? Yeah. Ja. Op je bord zeggen we. On your plate. Yeah. But for example, you also, if you drop the work, will it level your satisfaction? Will it level your energy? Or the opposite? Sometimes by reducing something or dump something, you are even worse than before. So that's it's not only by dropping down, you have to see what does it do. And do I go up by taking this action? Here you have delegation, sharing care, delegate some housekeeping tasks with other people. And then I like this, the Barba Papas. Do you know it in other countries? Can I hide you?
Yeah.
They were little figures, and the size and the format changed when they had to go under a door. They became very flat, and they could pass the door. So in the Barba Papa strategy, you just a bit fix it that it has other shapes, that you don't have to reduce something. But for example, if you can go work at home, you do the same amount of hours working home, but it fits better in your life and the different things you want to do. That's the delegation assessment, and Linda has copies with the thresholds. There are 35 items, and then also the incentives. That was the word I was looking for. And there you have 30 items. So maybe that is a good exercise to see if I want more time to sleep, leisure time, to go to work. And then is delegation one of the ways to make it work. And then you can have a look for yourself. This is our newest tool, the flower of support. And this is the example of Mary. You put the name of her, the person with special needs. Also, the person, my daughter did it herself. She put her name in the middle of the flower. And then the support needs. And it is not always to the medical care and help with showering, eating, dressing, and all that kind of things, but also help to figure out what I want to make my life better. So it is all kinds of support needs that you can write down in the white leaves of the flower. And then you can have the picture of how is it nowadays? Who is doing what? Who is helping with what? And then you have mom, dad, sister Amy, nephew Wim, and you have maybe some volunteers and maybe some professionals who take a part of the support that is needed. And you just can do the picture, and then you have a good view on how is it now. You can also do it with all kinds of stuff, and but you see what it gets. And then we use this tool in some workshops with parents. Then we ask mom, take yourself away. Dad, take yourself away. And just imagine that you become in hospital for 6 weeks or 2 months. Who will take it over? And maybe you got some ideas. Why would you wait until you get in the hospital? But it can give you some rest, peace of mind, when you know that it is okay, that the support can take on even when you are not long there. My mother, I have also a brother with disabilities, with a mental disability and a light physical disability, and he was living with my mother until 2 years ago. They were having a very good life together. My father died 2 years ago, so there were the 2 of them. And it was okay, but it became too heavy for both of them. They were taking care of each other, but it was not enough. And there was a lot of professional help. There was home support. There was several people coming at home. But then we started to have a look for a solution for my mother. And she went to a hospice, an elderly home. And my brother went to a very open-minded institution where he can live his own life. And where he can leave and come as he wishes. And for my mother, and she was so grateful, she said, no, I know that when I am no longer there, it will be okay for me, because he's happy. He has a happy life. And that is the kind of, it's the first time that I tell it after my mother died, so it's a bit emotional, but this can help you to think about it and to talk about it. And also, for example, for my brother, my brother is named Bart, and he had also transportation. He cannot drive a car, but he said, I want to become less independent in going out. So he asked someone to help him, and he put a bit here to take a train, to go to the train station and buy a ticket and sit on the train at ease. And now he can go to see a friend 50 kilometers further and without being dependent from someone else. So it can also help to have a look on the priorities of the person with special needs. What do I want to learn? What do I want really to get more independent from other people? Voilà. That was what I
Thank you, Noor. I think that was a very inspiring presentation for all of us on different levels. The next presentation, which is also the last presentation, is on challenging behavior. This person couldn't be here, but she recorded her presentation. Maite van den Bosse is her name. She's the founder of Atlas, which is a multidisciplinary center, which is specialized in autism, ADHD, ADD, and high sensitivity. And she's going to speak about behavioral difficulties.
And hopefully the speaker behaves.
Hello, my name is Maite van den Bosse, and today I'd like to talk to you about behavioral difficulties amongst children. I'm sorry I couldn't make it to you in person, but nevertheless, I'd like to thank Linda for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about this topic. First, I'd like to introduce myself. After that, I'm gonna tell you about a few frequent causes that can cause difficult behavior, what you can do about it, and how you can handle in certain situations. I also gonna tell you something about self-care, and I'm gonna end the presentation by answering some questions you've already sent in. First, I'd like to introduce myself a little bit to you. My name is Maite van den Bosse, and I am a mother of 4. I am also a mother of some special needs children. In our family are diagnoses such as autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, and dyspraxia, etc. And I'm also the founder of Atlas. And Atlas is a group practice that's specialized in ASD, ADHD, and high sensitive persons. And with Atlas, I wanted to create a place where there was more humanity in our group practice with psychologists and coaches. For example, by making the waiting lists a bit shorter and by treating people like people and not like numbers or so. I also wanted to create a practice that works from heart to heart. We see a person first and a diagnosis can come at second place. We also work very much in a systemic way, which means that we are focusing on relationships and not only on the individual persons. For example, when we have a children that we're coaching, when we have a child that we're coaching, we will always involve the entire family, such as brothers, sisters, and of course, parents, rather than focusing on the individual child alone. This quote is a very important quote, I guess. And it goes like this. The kids who need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving of ways. I'd like you to keep this quote in mind during the entire presentation because it's such a great quote and it contains so much truth. And that's the reason why I wanted to start with causes, because many people will come over to me and will explain some behavioral issues they're experiencing with their children, and they ask me how to cope with that. And that's a very difficult question because I always try to find the cause, what's causing this behavior. If we wouldn't do that, we would just be treating symptoms, and we wouldn't be, dig any deeper. I think it's more effective if we search for causes. And I think it also helps us to find preventive ways to cope with difficult behavior. And yeah, preventing is always better than treating. Huh? Although these causes sometimes can be quite difficult to find, that's true. And a diagnosis sometimes can be very helpful to get the cause, to get yeah, to lay our finger on the spot, we say in Dutch, to see where we can find a good cause. Now, frequent causes that we can see when we see children behaving in a very aggressive or difficult or even annoying way, a lot of this behavior has to do with gaining control. These are the self-determined children who, for example, want to decide who needs to sit where in the car, who needs to sit where at the table, who can be very commanding and very bossy sometimes as well. It's very important to know that these children have a huge anxiety to lose control because often they feel very unpredictable. They feel very chaotic in this world. They can feel very, they experience a lot of fear, which has a lot of, yeah, often it has a lot to do with the way of how they process information that comes in. And that can feel very, very overwhelming and very unpredictable, and by that also very unsafe. Another cause that is very, very important to know is that some children function in a very much younger socially emotional age than they biologically are. So for example, if you have a child that is, let's say, 7 years old, it is possible that he or she is only functioning socially emotional in, let's say, an age of 1.5 years. And that's something we see a lot amongst children who suffer from ASD, ADD, ADHD, for example. And when you look at all the phases of the development in the socially emotional development, you see sometimes in this young stage, you find this fear of abandonment, for example. And this is a fear that's very, very real and can be a very difficult struggle for parents as well. But at this phase, in this stage of development, children aren't able to self-regulate emotions yet. They need someone with them to do so. And when we see this behavior with children younger than 2 years old, we say, okay, that's completely normal. When we see these behaviors occurring with children who are older, let's say 7 years old, then we find that a little bit atypical. The same goes with children who are 2 years old and who are having tantrums. We say, oh, that's completely normal because it's just part of the age. But when you're having children of 7 years, 9 years, maybe even 16 years old, who are still having these tantrums, we say, atypical. But yet, it is quite possible that these children are functioning in this very, very young socially emotional age. So that's very important for you to know, because then you see the difference between a child who is unwilling to do certain things or unable to do them. And that's a huge difference, of course. Object permanence is also something like that. With very young children, with toddlers, we see how they have very much difficulty, experience very much difficulties when their parents are leaving the room, because when objects or persons are out of sight, it literally means that they're gone. They cannot see them, they cannot hear them. So for them, it means they don't exist anymore. And even this can be, with your child who is perhaps even 14 years old, but in this socially emotional phase where he's still experiencing that. So that's a very, very important thing to know when we are looking at causes of difficult behavior. Sensory processing problems, also something we see a lot. Problems with taste, hearing, sight, smell, touch, movement, balance, and so on. There are many more senses than most people know about. And they can lead to problems such as eating problems, eating disorders, problems when they are in a crowded place, when children have difficulties with cutting their nails or taking a shower, washing their hair, brushing their teeth can be very, very challenging for children who are experiencing sensory processing problems. And one way, yeah, it can go a little bit different, is when sensory stimuli come in very, very intense. And we speak about overstimulation. And when people or children are understimulated, sensory stimuli come in too little. For example, someone touches your shoulder, but you wouldn't even notice it because the touch of that don't come in that good to notice it. A very good tool to help you with that is a sensory profile. A sensory profile is something you can make up with a psychologist, or you can let be tested with an autism coach or a sensory coach. And a sensory profile is a list of all the difficulties your child is experiencing in its sensory development. And of course, it can also provide a list of solutions and tips on how to cope with these difficulties. So this sensory profile can actually be a great tool. Another cause can be, impulsive behavior, not being able to control certain impulses. We see these behaviors amongst children with ADD, ADHD, OCD, La Tourette. These children simply aren't able to control the feelings they're experiencing, and just bursts out. They're not able to control their impulses. Another cause of difficult behavior or even aggressive behavior, child that can be very nagging, annoying, a little bit not knowing what to do, a little bit, nagging, can often be there because of the need of predictability. The predictability or a structure or a child that knows what comes then and what comes next and what they're gonna do has everything very predictable, and that makes the world a little less chaotic for them. It'll lower the anxiety they're experiencing, and they know what comes next, and that makes them feel very safe. So this need for predictability can be a very important cause of difficult behavior as well. Cause that you're probably familiar with is the cause of feeling bored. A child that doesn't know what to do, or doesn't know how to do it, doesn't know with who to do it, when to do it, why to do it, where it needs to be done, in what time frame it needs to be done, can feel very, very bored. And that bored feeling can often lead to very annoying behavior, hurting other people, hurting their sisters or their brothers or other siblings. Can be very annoying behavior. So these are a few causes. Of course, the list is way longer than that, of course. But these were a few very important ones. Of course, now is the question, what can you do about it? How can you respond to this difficult behavior? Well, for example, a very important one is sometimes to lower the expectations, especially when I talked about these children who are functioning in a much younger socially emotional phase. It is very important that we lower down our expectations. We can't expect a 7-year-old, which is functioning socially emotional at the age of, let's say, 9 months old. We can't expect them to fall asleep alone or to go for a walk by their own. It's that's difficult, because we would expect a 7-year-old to play around in the garden by itself, for example. But when this child is functioning in this way, way, way younger socially emotional age, it might not be such a good idea to expect this from that child because it simply isn't able yet to do that by himself. An important tip as well is to make it as comfortable for you as you can. Being a parent of a special need child, especially when your special need child is functioning socially, emotionally much younger, yeah, you need to see how you can take care of yourself. For example, if you have a child that isn't able to fall asleep by itself, and you have to spend the night sitting by their bed until they fall asleep, for example, it's okay to do so. If your child isn't able to do so, you don't have any other options, but make it as comfortable for yourself as possible. For example, by taking an extra pillow for yourself, reading an extra good book, take a cup of tea with you when you're sitting by the bed, next to the bed. These are tips that make your life a little bit more comfortable. As I told you before, these sensory profiles can help you to list up the difficulties in sensory processing. And can also give you a few tips and tricks on how to handle certain situations. These can be tested by a psychologist, autism coach, or a coach with sensory processing disorders, and so on. When you have a child that has a very great need of predictability, you can start using daily schedules to help your child predict what comes next. Best way to do that is in a very visual way by using icons, photos, drawings, whatever can help you to make it very clear for your child what the steps of the day can be. Sometimes it's not necessary to work so visual. Sometimes you can talk them. You can talk through the day as well. Some children don't need visual ways, but yeah, make very clear what expectations you have about the day and what the planning will be for the day that's coming on. Time in versus time out. Well, a time out can certainly be a great tool for children who are very overstimulated and can help them to calm them down. When you're giving a child a timeout, you are putting them away. It sounds a bit rushed, but you're putting them away from you so they can calm down by themselves. Now, of course, when you have a child who is functioning in this much younger socially emotional phase, it won't be so appropriate because they can't self-regulate yet. They need your help, so they need you to stick nearby. And then a time in is a much more useful tool than a time out. A time in means you get to stay with your child as close as possible. Some children will be needing a hug. Some children won't even have you nearby, so you'll have to keep your distance a little bit more. But in this way, you stay nearby and you help your child to regulate their feelings, and that's what they call co-regulation. It's not self-regulation, you're helping the child, so it's a co-regulation. And that's where a time in can be a great tool. Another advantage of a time in is that when you give a time out, it's like you're saying, I don't want this behavior. I don't want this feeling. I keep it locked out. I don't want you nearby me now. When you're giving your child a time in, you're actually allowing your child to experience these behaviors. Of course, you can tell them it's not okay to do this and that, and you can put boundaries on the behavior, of course, but the emotion is completely allowed. You can tell them how much they're suffering at that time. You see the struggle they're dealing with. So a time in is a much softer way, a much more connecting way than a time out. Very important also is that when your child is behaving in a way that you really just could run away, to stay very calm and very neutral. I know this tip is sometimes easierly said than done. And it's okay if sometimes it doesn't, yeah, you're just not able to do it. But whenever you can, try to stay as calm and neutral as possible. Remain your voice in a firm and neutral way. Also, your body language, don't get too overwhelmed, don't get too stressed out. Keep everything calm, try to breathe, and de-escalate by remaining calm and neutral. When you are starting to get stressed out and you're really starting to move a little bit more and your voice gets higher, your voice gets louder, it won't help your child to de-escalate. And that's actually what you'd like to do at that time. You'd like to de-escalate the situation so the behavior won't be causing too much of a damage. When you have children who are very impulsive, remember the cause of the impulsive, the difficulties of controlling the impulses. You can set up reminders for them. For example, use a little bracelet that you put on their hand and use them as a reminder for special rules. For example, when your child is always can get very angry, and when he gets angry, he or she can start pulling hair of other children. Make sure that you put on a bracelet and then you say, you know, this, you know the rule that we put up? We said you're not allowed to pull other person's hair. This bracelet will actually help you to remind these rules. So yeah, there will be a chance that the child, whenever he gets the impulse and he feels the angriness, that he will notice the bracelet, and hopefully he will remember, here comes a rule. I have to stay calm. Stay calm. No, it's not. We can't ask of a child that's so impulsive to stay calm, but at least he can remember, there was a rule. I'm not allowed to pull anyone's hair. And clear consequences are very important as well. That you say, whenever you do so, yeah, there will be a consequence. For example, you will come over to me and you will sit on that chair during 2 minutes, for example. Every time he breaks the rule, you put up the same consequence and you stick through. So every time he breaks a rule, you make sure that the consequence you've told him, that you're following up, that you're doing so, that you're doing that in a very consequent way. There were people who asked me if it was possible to, for example, have these impulsive behavior, if there was a medical treatment for it. The answer is yes, there is, but in the first place, it's not up to me to tell you about that. It's you have to go to a child psychiatrist for that. And secondly, I think it's very important that you always see medical treatment as a very last option, so that you use other things first. But if it is necessary, it can be a very great, helpful tool, but you need to handle it with care. Okay, very important also, what can you do? Lower down the stress. Make stress, or better said, the lowering down of the stress, a priority in your family. Try to look at your situation, try to run through your day, look at all the routines that you have, the morning, the noon, the evening. Are there certain situations where you can lower down the stress? What can you do? Take a very critical look at that. Are there certain things you can do to lower down the stress? For example, by picking your battles, by saying, okay, maybe the next few weeks I'm gonna focus on this new rule, but all the other rules I'm gonna let go a little bit. I'm gonna be less focused on that. Pick your battles. Difficult behavior is often a sign of stress. So the less stress you put in your family, the less likely your child will develop aggressive or difficult behavior. And realize that difficult behavior is also very difficult for your child. It's not something they do to terrorize you or to frustrate you or to make that they're not doing it to make your life miserable, although it can feel like that sometimes, of course. But realize that these difficult situations are difficult for your child as well. And then I also would like to teach you the big five that create a lot of predictability. In every situation, you can ask, and especially situations where you see that your child is behaving in a very aggressively way, ask yourself the following 5 questions. 1, does my child know what he or she needs to do right now, what I expect of him or her? Secondly, how does it need to be done? So when I'm expecting, for example, a task, do they know how, in what way they need to perform the task? Where is the place that this task needs to be done? When, in what time frame does it need to be done? And with who? Is this something they need to do by themselves, or is this something they can get help with? And if so, with who? Okay, children who are easily overstimulated. If you are in a situation where a child gets really overstimulated, for example, a family party, you can ask yourself the question if it is possible to get out of that situation. Is it possible to leave? Okay, then do so. If it's not, and sometimes it is so, for example, when you're on a concert or something, it's not just possible to run out of it. Then you can ask yourself the questions, are there any tools that can help? For example, at a concert, these noise-canceling earphones can help for your child. Thirdly, sometimes it's not such a good idea to avoid all stressful situations, but it can be helpful to reduce the time of exposure. For example, when you go to the family party, you don't have to say that you're not able to come. You can come over, but maybe you can reduce the time. So maybe you can, for example, instead of coming 3 hours, you just can come over for 1 hour. And make sure that there's plenty of time during the day to give your child the chance to wind down, to give your child a little bit more of a rest time. When your child is understimulated, it needs more activities or tools that offer more stimuli. This can come in several tools, for example, by swinging on a swing, jumping on the trampoline, singing in the microphone and making noises like that, chewing gum when they are having needs of extra touch in their mouth. Children who are often biting on their nails or biting on their clothes can be very chewing gum can be a very helpful tool for those children. And also, even with these children, make sure there's plenty of wind down time during the day, that even those children who need more stimuli also get these resting times from time to time, so they won't get overstimulated. Okay, I also want to tell you a little bit more about self-care, because I find this so very important. We, as parents of special needs children, often think we need to know everything about our children. We need to know how to react, how to respond in certain situations. We need to know how they work, how they react, how they are. But we often forget to take care of ourselves, and that's pretty much a base, because a parent that's very in control and in balance with himself or herself can very much more easily provide the patience or the kindness or the I can't come up to the word right now. That can be a very better parent, basically. The better you take care of yourself, the better it will go to be a good parent. So ask yourself the question, what is it that you need to get through your day? Your sometimes very difficult day, I can imagine. And try to find some structure in your self-care, not by planning weekly by weekly. Oh, when am I gonna take care of myself? When am I gonna plan a little moment for myself? Try to make it a more structured something, to get yourself a routine. Find something you can do on a daily basis. For example, every time after lunch, you take a break and you do a short breathing exercise, for example. Or every day after dinner, you take the dog and you go for a little walk. And then you ask yourself, okay, what can I do on a weekly basis? Can I, for example, say, okay, let's say Friday night is mom's girls out night, and I'm taking my girlfriends and I'm going out for a drink or something, or I just gonna have a nice warm bath and drink a nice cup of tea, also possible. And is there also something you can do on a monthly basis? And try to make this a very, very structured something that you do every day, every week, and every month. And also remember, you're not doing this for yourself, you're doing it for your children. So try to find out what helps you to relax, what helps you to charge your own battery. It can be very, very small things, such as singing whilst driving your child to school in your car, listening to a podcast or some music with your headphones while you're making dinner, a breathing exercise, counting to 10 and back again, going to the toilet on your own, although even that can be quite a challenge sometimes. Work a little less, change your job. Of course, these are the big tasks, but even that, try to be very critical and reflect on your life. What can I do to help myself being a better, more patient parent? And this can also be helped by expanding your network. When you have a lot of people around you to talk to complain about to sometimes, or to help you with the kids, to take care of the kids, to help you in the household. See if there's any possibility to expand your network, so even that can help you as well. And stay as stress-free as possible. I know it's easier said than done, but yeah, it's a good excuse to book that extra day to the spa. Huh? And don't be afraid to take what you need. We are often so focused on our children that we really forget to take care of ourselves. And that's, yeah, a bit, that's very I say it, that's a pity, because the better you take care of yourself, the better you are able to take care of your child. So if you want to take the best care of your child as possible, take good care of yourself. That's the base. It all starts with that. Some tips to help you as well is to plan in on the daily schedule of your child. Even there, the moments of rest you have, the mommy times or the daddy times, you can plan in the schedule of your child as well. Or you can take a chair in your living room and you say, okay, this from now on, this is our quiet chair. Whenever you are on that chair, no one is allowed to talk to you, and you aren't allowed to talk as well. But the same goes for mommy and daddy. When mommy or daddy on that chair are sitting on that chair, they are not gonna talk. They are just gonna be, they want some quiet time. Can't ask them questions. I'm not gonna respond to the questions. At first, it will be a bit tricky and a bit difficult to set up some boundaries about this one. But once the children are familiar with it, it can work very well. Set up a few boxes of toys, especially for the mommy or daddy time. For example, when mommy wants to go in a bath, you take out the box of special toys and the children are, yay! Because, yeah, it's a very special box. They don't have the chance to play with it all the time. So make it very predictable for your children as well whenever you feel the need of self-care time. Okay, I've received an email with a few questions of you earlier, and I've tried to take some of these questions and I'm trying to answering these a little bit. I need to tell you it was quite difficult for me to respond because for me it's very important to know the cause. And sometimes you can find the cause when you're just reading a few sentences. Sometimes you need to see the entire situation or context. And so it wasn't very easy, but let's give it a try. Okay, this question was asked from a mother, and the situation is always during the meals that the daughter often has to decide where everyone sits at the table. She shall decide who has to do with this or that, and the same happens when they are driving a car. She must have full control on who shall drive and where everybody shall sit. The same behavior happens also in conjunction with daily routines like brushing hair, spreading cream, clothing, and similar activities. Now, the clothing issue has probably something to do with the sensory issues, can have something to do with the way they experience touch on their skin. But you also can tell that this girl is gaining control, is trying to gain control. And she's feeling very anxious in a chaotic world, and it's her way to try to make it less chaotic. She's trying to gain this control about the things that she can control, because there's so much around her that she cannot control. At least she's trying to control those things that she can. So try to make things more predictable during the day. Try to make her day a little less chaotic. And we often see increasing controlling and demanding behavior when children feel more anxious and stressed out. So try to keep the stress level a little bit more down, and make it a little bit more predictable for them. The next question. S is a very smart, wise, and observant girl, but also boundless and cunning. She can, out of the blue, very quickly destroy and smash things around. Yeah. And sometimes when she doesn't get her will, she threatens with vomiting. Either just starting gurgling or put her fingers in her throat. And mostly we can't stop her from vomiting. How to deal with all this? Now, also, this has something to do with gaining control, with having to say, I want to control this. I want to, I'm gonna tell you how it works. I'm gonna tell you, it's her way to make it a little bit more, a little less chaotic in her head. She's trying to gain control. So also the same thing I told before is try to make things more predictable during the day and stay very calm and neutral the soon as she's trying to vomit. I know that can be a very, very difficult one because your first reaction probably will be, no, stop, don't do that, or what are you doing? Try to stay as calm and neutral as possible, but also let her know that you see her struggle. So instead of saying, no, you cannot do that and stop doing that, you can say things like, I can see that you're really upset right now. I can see that you're dealing with struggles and you're having a really difficult time. I feel sorry for you right now. That's a very different response than when we would say immediately, stop, don't do that. She will feel a bit more seen when you approach the behavior like that. And try to pronounce the emotions she's dealing with without fearing them. It's okay if you tell her, I see that you're afraid of trying something new. I see that you're feeling very angry. I see that you're struggling with it. That really opens the door to set up a real good conversation instead of fighting each other. Another question. Anytime things don't go the way my child thinks it should go, he melts down. He becomes loud, defiant, and pessimistic. How can I stop this downward spiral caused by disappointment? And another question. He tries to control me, to have me by his side all the time. to control his sister. Always it has to be his way. How do I deal with this behavior? Again, it's again about children who are trying to gain control, who are feeling very anxious in this chaotic world, and who are trying to control the things that they can control. Try to look at your children through different glasses. They actually are trying to tell you that things aren't going well and that they can feel very overwhelmed with emotions. Let them know, let them feel that you're constantly there for them, even though you may not be nearby. Realize that self-regulation might be a bit too difficult yet, even though that can be quite a challenge for many parents. Take care of yourself, and so you can deal with these situations in a much better way. Some situations can be attached to certain situations. Wait, that wasn't correct. Some behavior can be attached to certain situations. For example, my son is able to wear his sunglasses at home, but at school he refuses to wear them. Now, this is caused by a contextual issues, and we see this behavior a lot amongst children with ASD, with autism spectrum disorders. These people, these children experience contextual issues. They can be quite good at something in one situation, for example, tying their shoes. They can do it perfectly at home. But in the other situation, they suddenly aren't able to do that anymore. So, for example, the shoe can get tied at school, but when the child gets home, he's not able to do so anymore. Sometimes it can be quite difficult to explore what exactly is causing the ability or the disability in one or the other context. Sometimes it has something to do with the people that surround him. Sometimes it can be the environment that's causing the difficulties. For example, a child that came over at our practice had problems with eating bananas at home. But the soon she got at school, there wasn't a problem at all, and she ate all her bananas perfectly fine. So we couldn't find out what was causing that she couldn't do it in the at school in that situation. She could not do it at home in the other situation. And then we started to put the banana in a fruit box at home, and poof, suddenly she started eating bananas at home. So that was clearly a contextual issue. And I think it'll be something like that with the sunglasses as well. But it can be quite difficult to explore where what's actually causing the ability or the disability. Another question. My son is obsessed with doors. He likes to open them or close them. At night, when we try to lock our door, he'll start screaming and shouting. Also this, opening doors and closing doors, that's very predictable. It's his way to find, to calm down in this world. It can be very stressful for him. The soon he starts to open or close doors, it gives him a safe feeling because it always looks the same. It's very predictable. I do this, the door is closed. Yes, I do that, the door is open. Wow. I see the same behavior with children who put on the lights and put out the lights. They put it on, they put it off. They put it on, they put it off. And so on. It's very predictable. It makes them feel very safe because it's always the same reaction that they get. So again, it's about gaining control. Now, whenever the door gets closed, he also might feel very upset because now things start to get really unpredictable and he's not able to get out anymore as well. Try to make this specific situation a little bit more predictable by, for example, drawing this situation in a simple sketch. So during the day, we leave the door open, you draw, and during the night, you draw a little moon to make sure that your son understands that it means the night. It gets locked and you draw a key. Yeah, okay, that can be a tip as well. I'm not saying that this will work immediately, but yeah, it's at least you can give it a try. Okay, another example that many of you will recognize, I think, is whenever I'm on the phone, my son starts shouting, crying for attention. Okay, here's the cause very clearly, the socially emotional young age. It can be quite difficult for your son now, yet, to share your attention. We see this behavior well among very young children as well, who are attached to their caregiver so much they need them nearby every minute of the day. The fear of abandonment is yeah, very, very typical in this phase of the socially emotional development. It might be helpful to perform an emotional social test on him to find out what socially emotional age category your son is in. This might take it easier for you to understand his behavior and to lower down your expectations. Maybe, yeah, it's simply not that simple for your son to share this attention of you, and might be a better idea for you to go out of the room and to talk somewhere else while your husband, for example, stays with your son, then that you can expect him to stay calm while you are on the phone. What you also can try to do is make this situation very clear by setting up rules. Mom on the phone means I get to play with my special phone box. We had a special mommy bath time box as well. Now we have a special phone box also. And this you can make very visual by setting up a rule and hanging it on a piece of paper in your house, in the kitchen, for example, where you say, Mom on the phone, and then an arrow. It means that you get to play with your special phone box with all kinds of toys in it. Yeah, you can try it. It's at least worth the try. Okay, I think, yes, this was the last question, actually. I'd like to finish with the sentence, pick your battles. I'm not expecting, and you shouldn't either, expecting of yourself that you are the best or the most perfect parent. You are a parent of a special needs child. That is quite something. You can give yourself some credit for that. So do the best you can, but don't be too hard on yourself, please. Okay. That was something I wanted to tell you before I ended this presentation. Okay, if you would like to get in touch with me or ask me some more questions, you can always send me an email by maite@atlas.be, or please visit our website www.atlas.be. And if you'd like, you can subscribe to our newsletter also. Okay, I wish you a very lovely day, and I hope this presentation may have inspired you. Bye-bye.